We're gonna do some really cool stuff tomorrow with Brian, who's a friend of Hill and Greg, and actually go out on the wetlands and the marshes and hear about them from someone who knows, from someone who does that for a living. He works for the Nature Conservancy, and I'm really excited to kind of get this incredibly behind the scenes view of the water here, because this is a big deal. This is a big deal down here, and it's totally all about, what it fits right in with what we've been doing as well.
And today we're going to take you to the Atchafalaya Basin. This is the largest freshwater swamp in North America. It's over about 1 million acres of uninterrupted habitat.
And this kind of shows the Mississippi River.
Water issues can harm us not only for having not enough water to drink, but they can also put in jeopardy the habitats that we need to protect ourselves from storms and things like that. This block of cypress forest that you're going to be in today is the largest remaining contiguous block of this type of habitat left in the United States. And that's why it's important.
I feel like we're getting a private tour of the Atchafalaya Basin by Brian and Yvonne. Brian works for the Nature Conservancy and Yvonne works for the Army Corps of Engineers. This is one of the coolest days of our trip, easily.
It's a very, very unique place that's really big, that isn't an area that I've heard discussed very much. And it's extremely volatile, very important.
I'm the Director of Freshwater and Marine Science for the Louisiana chapter of the Nature Conservancy. I provide scientific support for our conservation programs. My grandpa was very interested in the outdoors. He liked to fish and he liked to hunt, and he knew all his trees and really developed a love for the outdoors that I don't think I would have ever maybe developed if I didn't have somebody show that to me. Coastal cypress forest is incredibly important for protecting us from hurricanes. This is an important habitat for migrating birds. Not a lot of people get to see what you're seeing today. We're sitting in the middle of a 1 million acre block of swamp. This is a wilderness, and you probably have noticed it today. Even though we are in a powered boat, we have left everything behind. The people that live down here and work out in this basin, they know the value of this place.
Normally this area is going to be underwater for most of the year. It's just during these really low water conditions in the fall that we can actually get access to this with our feet.
We have a tremendous land loss problem here in Louisiana in our coastal wetland systems with improper water management. And in some areas of the coast, there's not only problems with water management that inundates these systems for too long and at the wrong time of year, but also in other areas of the coast we have saltwater problems because of sea level rise. We need to really be thinking about managing our freshwater resources properly. And Louisiana is on the front line, and this issue is so important here. I hope that we see a shift in awareness to understanding how vulnerable we are to all of these things. We really need to be managing our freshwater resources in this state better than anywhere else, in my opinion.
These forests in the Atchafalaya were logged around World War II and around the 30s, at the time when we saw massive logging in the United States. If we did this same thing to this habitat, a lot of these forests would never come back. They would be gone because we can't get cypress trees and tupelo trees to regenerate with the water conditions we have based on the water management problems that we have in this basin. So that's one reason why it's really important for us to conserve this habitat and really restore the hydrology in here, because if this goes, it's gone.
Improper management of freshwater can kill us with not having clean water to drink, and can make us sick, and it does in a lot of places in the world. And in Louisiana, we don't have this drinking water issue, but we do have freshwater issues where ultimately improper management of freshwater can really harm our communities, our property, and ourselves.
This river system is very close to my heart. It's probably my oldest friend in Louisiana.
I think it's a really exciting time right now to be a conservationist in Louisiana because this bright light has been shined on our problem now twice. The first one was Hurricane Katrina, and the second one was the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. And so we have plenty of work to do here.
You don't see a lot of that out here. That's a little bit too wet. It receives a lot of water. Number one, a lot of water, so it's underwater a lot, and that water that comes down is not carrying a lot of oxygen or a lot of fresh water, so it's not as healthy a situation as some of the other places where we've been.
We can have a wonderful environment. We can have a strong economy. We can have strong borders. We can have good trade. But we're all going to have to give something to get something. If we lose, we all go down together. If that switch was flipped and people would all of a sudden see that way, I just really think that many of these problems, they would just be solved so quickly.
Because once you get them up out of the seed, you have to also get them high enough so that they can survive the flooding through the growing season and then the next growing season. So this is reason for hope right here.
My wife is also a wetlands ecologist, and our son, his name is Cade, and it means from the wetlands. And so he really is now my inspiration for working even harder out here. Because like I told you before, I want him to experience this. And it could be gone, and I don't want to see that happen.